we knew we wanted to come up with a little 10 program, and you all know her from her schnibbles. She's kind of good at making up words. So we challenged her to come up with a word for this next little program that we're introducing, and she came up with Frivols. And so when you think about it, it's frivolous, fun, and fabric, and so much of everything that's here that you're seeing at the show, we really don't need it, but we want it, right? So it's kind of a frivolous expenditure. And so anyhow, I'm gonna let Carrie tell you all the fun stuff about the program, and then if you have any questions as far as the logistics of how we're going to run it, then I'll jump in and help after that. So Carrie Nelson.
Well, my part is really easy. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fabric. Lisa, your turn.
I said you have the gift of gab. Let's do that.
And don't you know, that's a very nice way of saying I'm a really chatty girl. Anyways, welcome. Lisa was telling you kind of how the whole thing came about. One of the things that was really entertaining is I started hearing about this new pre-cut and this idea that they wanted to do a 10 program at my job interview, which I kind of took as a good sign, but at the same time you're thinking, oh, that's just teasing. But I got on an airplane and started thinking of, okay, if I have this size square, what kind of block can I do? And I started writing, drawing out little diagrams, and Lisa challenged me to come up with a name for it. And as we kept going through, it kept coming back to, as she had said, you don't need this, but you need it. You want it. It's a lot of fun. And so I'm a Google girl and a dictionary.com, and I started looking things up, and this word frivol popped up, and frivolous, and it just kind of came about. It is actually a real word. The nice part that we thought would really be fun and work for us is it's not a very common word. Now, it is in Word for Friends, so if you do that. Anyways, we started talking about the possibility of using that, and Lisa loved it, and the more we started thinking, it really is the whole concept of it. It is supposed to be a lot of fun. It is going to include a lot of interesting little things with it. We're going to go ahead and show the quilts.
You keep talking.
What the concept was is to do a different pre-cut that you could not duplicate with something else. Even if you had 3 or 4 charm packs, you wouldn't have enough. If you were to do, like this one, the Minikin Simpson, a layer cake is not going to do it because there are duplicates in the squares. They are not representative of the collection in the same way that a layer cake, a jelly roll, or a charm pack is. They are custom, that we have 2 squares of this, sometimes there's 3 of that one. Eliminating some that don't work exactly for the design we want, doubling up on others. The goal all along for me has been to do something that fits the designer's look, their style, as opposed to trying to make Bonnie and Camille do something that it's not going to fit their fabric. The same for Betsy Chuchian's. And so it was really trying to fit the different collections. 2 of the quilts, month number 1, which is Bonnie and Camille, and month number 4, Windermere. These are the only 2 of the first 4 where you need additional yardage. We are always going to offer it that we're going to have a SKU from the collection or a Bella option. We have made, when we're making multiple samples, we have made samples using the Bellas and one of the fabrics. For the Bonnie and Camille, it's a Bella 98. For Brenda's, where is Brenda?
She's right behind.
Okay, Brenda. For Brenda's quilt, we did use the beautiful little background print from the collection, but we also picked 2 Bellas that we felt really coordinated with it well. Okay. 2 of the quilts are completely self-contained in that you do not need to add anything, no additional fabric. You will need background and binding. For all of them, we are going to provide the information of any SKUs that we've used for backgrounds, bindings, all of that sort of stuff. For a couple of them, there are a few little options. And I think the biggest thing we're going to wind up doing is helping support this and drive this with social media all the way through, from the use of Moda Frivols hashtag to ideas and posting other pictures. And what else am I forgot? For instance, the first quilt, you need 16 squares. You could have made it with a larger quilt, but decided to do, I liked the square better. It was a nice workable size for a baby quilt. Well, then you're going to get, it's going to be sent individually, this pattern for a mini version. So there are going to be things that will drive people to your store, to your business, that the patterns are not going to be available elsewhere. They are Frivols exclusives. Things like the mini, the only place they're going to be able to get it is from you when you're in the program. Part of the thing that we love doing with this is, can I have a show of hands of anybody in here who has only like one pair of scissors, one rotary cutter? We all like to collect stuff because it's pretty, because it's fun, just because it's neat. So we wanted to put some cool little things in the tins. One of the things that we're including are, these are the tins. It is going to have a different ribbon on it, but this is what the roll is going to look like. It's going to look like your layer cake, or the jelly roll is only bigger. It will have the paint edges. It's got a little riser. It's going to have an opening at the top. You'll actually be able to see these. They're going to be in the booth, but there will be info. I'm holding them upside down. Information on the back. Where are the block parts?
Right in front of you.
All of the, and these can be passed out then. All of the tins will come with a card that has the quote. How many people in here collect quotations? Yeah, it's kind of a common theme. Anybody who has a Pinterest board probably does. These are the quotes from the designers, their favorite. You're smiling at me. I know you do a quote a day. These are the quotes from the designers, their favorite quote, something that has meaning for them. And on the back is a little block pattern. It comes in two sizes, 4.5 inches and 6 inches. And what we're going to do with that is, yes, we're going to make a little sampler quilt. The fabric for this is not provided in the tin, so it's an opportunity for you to a layer cake and a couple yards of background fabric if they're going to want to make it bigger. Obviously for the 4.5 inch blocks, it's not going to be a huge sampler. For the 6 inch, it'll be a little bit bigger wall hanging. Whether they participate for just 4 months or the full 12, they're going to have cards enough to make something. And we are going to provide all sorts of ideas, more coming, of ways to use individual blocks. We'll be sporting with recommended bag patterns, links to free tutorials online, things that we'll be providing, and just ideas of being able, ways to use the blocks. One of my favorite things to do is to frame them. It is just a simple frame. I use a piece of fabric usually from the back, from the collection. How many of you have steam-a-seam in your stores? I steam-a-seam it to a piece of illustration board. It means I don't have to match mats. Frames are inexpensive, a lot of fun to play with. And rumor has it that somebody might get to take some of these home after. So, just saying. And we'll also, things like pin cushions, ways to be able to use them, because especially the first couple of tins that ship, it is going to be right around the holidays. First one's August, but then into September, October, November, and so absolutely going to be talking about ways to use this, gift ideas. And obviously then they have to buy a little more fabric for things, backings, that sort of thing.
And also this is, if you do a Moda U Club or some kind of thing to do, we all need a story to tell. And so instead of just buying another frivolous tin and then walking out the door, there's lots of little extra add-ons. You will also be getting if you've signed up for Frivols, you will be getting a monthly newsletter from Carrie, and that will include things to talk about, all these different projects each month to kind of keep you motivated and to be able to share other things with your customers. And then you want to talk about that.
Oh, and also in the newsletter we'll be including any specific add-ons that you might want to be able to use, like for instance the quilt with the flying geese. Here are different rulers depending on which ones you use in your shop. We're going to have some piecing techniques. So a lot of it will be support material for you. Now, the first 10, it's going to have a kind of a cool little giveaway. Keep trying to not use the word fun. Because it is, but it's more frivolous. And I started coming up with frivolsome, frivolicious, so all things that, you can expect to see those words coming soon in newsletters to you. One of the things in the very first 10 is kind of get this chain of ideas in the office, and one of the genius people that has to do with a lot of stuff, they wound up, we're going to have Camille designed a ribbon, and so every tin will have 1 yard of an exclusive ribbon that the only way you're going to be able to get it is in the tin. And don't you know, the Bonnie and Camille people are going to like that. And we're already thinking of ideas for future ones, whether it's going to be labels, all sorts of things.
Nathan Simpson's going to be a quilt label,
So all sorts of cool stuff coming, and I don't know how the logistics are going to work just between us, but fortunately I don't need to know that. That's not one of my hats, so I will turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing that's always been a plus it have been a plus and a minus with Moda is we've got a ton of designers. So internally, I can't come up with a club that's only, a Brenda Riddle club unless you were going to pay me to do that. So this year's going to also United Notions 40th anniversary. So this is going to be a series of 12 tins, and whether you're a modern store or a traditional store, or I really feel like it's right at the point to where really what defines modern and what defines traditional anymore. I mean, it's just kind of such a melting pot of fabrics and styles. And if you have a customer that maybe isn't into reproduction but is into the series of tins, it is a good opportunity to put some of that fabric into their hand. And we really want the tin to have so much collectability and extra add-on things that they still want to buy it, regardless of whether or not it happens to be their favorite fabric designer. And they can make their little project for their aunt, or different things. So I know you've already been kind of getting some resistance on how do I buy into a club that maybe these aren't all my particular style of fabrics. We do take that into consideration. And so we
look really cute on your shelf.
Yeah. So we're also designing the tins to where they all look good together, regardless of whether you do have a me and my sister fabric next to a Kansas Troubles fabric on your shelf, and the series and all of that kind of stuff is representative of the designer, but goes nicely together.
So I'm trying to turn them so they can see how great they look from all the different sides.